Eishes Chayil Mimtzo.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. Tonight's theme is a pasuk that we hear our husbands sing to us every Friday night. Sheker hachein vehevel hayofi, isha yiras Hashem, he tishalo. Charm is deceptive, and beauty is not. A God-fearing woman is the one to be praised. Our beauty is not the makeup, the perfume, the manicured nails, the long eyelashes, the jewelry. Even though living in California with the billboards and advertisement agencies spending millions of dollars trying to convince us otherwise, our beauty is not Gucci, Ferragamo, and Chanel shoes. Our true beauty that radiates on our face is our Yiras Shamayim. When we are careful in the three mitzvahs of the woman, Ches Nun He, Chala Nida Hadlakas Neirais, that is the true beauty of a woman, and that's what makes us shine. Yes, when you make challah and you check the eggs, and if there's blood, you throw it out when no one's watching, that is your real beauty. When you're careful to make a bedika in the winter, when it's 4:45 and it's the most hectic time, you're in the middle of work in an important meeting or carpool, dinner, homework, and the like, that is true beauty. Yes, when you're careful to light Shabbos candles on time, that is real beauty. And when I see each and one of you here taking time to make your Tara Samishpacha, your family life, top priority, even though it's easier to be at home, comfortable in your own safe haven, to step out, to go and get inspired, to create a ripple effect on your entire family. That is Yiras Shamayim. So on your chair, you see a mirror. Look at yourself. Isha Yiras Hashem is you. So everyone on your chair, you have these mirrors. By the way, of Remel, I don't think is the Zoom working? The Isha Yiras Hashem is you. And there's a little poem for you to take home too. It's you, ladies. When you look in the mirror, remember, you are the ones. The b'schos nashim tzidkanis anunig alu mitzrayim ub'schos nashim tzidkanis asidim lehit gael. Think about your dream house that you want to move into. You don't just want the bare minimum, but you want to have the most beautiful home, the most beautiful furniture, the most beautiful dishes, and the like. We all want to have a home. We don't just settle for something simple to just have a roof over our head. We want it not to be just a house, but a beautiful home for Hashem. The same way we want begashmias, a beautiful home, we want the same beruchnias. How do we accomplish that? When it comes to the mitzvahs of Taras HaMishpacha, we can get away with the bare minimum bedikas, for example, or you could do lifnei mishur sadin and be careful not to miss one bedika. Do the 14 plus the meiches 15 and not miss one. To do the mitzvah of Taras HaMishpacha behidar, the way, not just the way of getting away through hetes, but doing everything to the max. Tonight, I'm dedicating this class, as well as last week's and Bezrat Hashem the next week's, to my dear and beloved Rav, Rabbi Reichik, who we terribly miss. Rabbi Reichik made sure in Los Angeles that we were careful in all three areas of the mitzvahs of a woman: Chala, Nida, and Hadlakas Neirais. Chala, he was very careful with kashrus. He made sure to go to restaurant establishments, even though they didn't really like it that he came, to make sure that the kashrus when we go out to eat in restaurants is a level of Yiras Shamayim. And he would send on his broadcast on the airplane when I was flying, I went through my phone, like anything, when there was a kashrus problem, an alert. The mocha mixes dairy, be on alert. The Lorena is not pas Yisrael. I'm always careful in the mitzvah of kashrus. Hadlaka Sanerais. Simi Goods, she shall live and be well till 120 years. Rabbi Reichik's daughter, my dear friend, shared a beautiful story on Gut Shvat about Hadlaka Sanerais and how much it meant to Rabbi Reichik. A woman in our community called Rabbi Reichik and said, Rabbi Reichik, you know, I was sleeping, taking a nap Erev Shabbos, and I lost track of time, and it was after the 18 minutes, and I missed lighting Shabbos candles. What should I do? I feel horrible. Rabbi Reichik listened, and he sighed, and he took a deep breath, and he said, what should we do? Because another Yid's pain was his pain, and that is Rabbi Reichik. Now, when it comes to the third mitzvah of a woman, Nida, I find it very appropriate to dedicate these classes in memory of Rabbi Reichik, since he took personal interest in how the preparations for these reviews are going. Such a busy Rav with getting so many shilas every single day would check on me. Even the flyer, when I sent him, said, this is beautiful. Thanks to our amazing Rifki Markowitz, if she's here. Thank you, Rifki. So, in fact, these series that were started, Rabbi Reichik said, we need one for the men. And he started one for men too. That's how important it was to Rabbi Reichik. And I remember his words clearly. Kol tov, hatzlacha rabba, b'soris tayvais. In short, Rabbi Reichik was our pillar of Yer Shemayim in all three mitzvahs of a woman, kashrus, nida, and halakas neres. May our involvement in these mitzvahs scrupulously bring Mashiach now, so we can be united with him and the rest of the Rebbe's Hasidim and the Rebbe in the Beis HaMikdash with the coming of Mashiach now. Amen. I also want to dedicate tonight's class to a teacher of mine, Mrs. Arnold, who was my teacher in preschool and also in high school, my Navi teacher. And I was lucky to spend, Fabringans with her at Mrs. Yemini's Rest and Ruchnias retreat. And she shared her story of how covering her hair brought her bracha, being careful in the mitzvahs of a woman, tznius, and all these little details. So it should be her neshama should have an aliyah also. And before I do the speaker, and the raffle we'll do at the end, I just want to do a quick thank you, because last week I wanted to do thank yous, and at the end, everyone, it was late, and I want to make sure people worked hard making cheesecakes, they don't get forgotten. I want to thank my friend Tova Zacharia, who literally helped me with every little detail. She's not here yet. Thank you, Tova. And Mrs. Rebbitzin Leah Schmuckler, Tzipora Habibian, Simi Goods, Rifki Markowitz, Simcha Ziv, Ruti Naughton, my husband and kids, of course, Mrs. Spalter, my sister Bracha Tevel for storage, the sponsors for tonight's class to make the classes possible, Rebbitzin Shoshana Mansuri, Mrs. Gassman, Mushkia Lulian, thank you, Geula, for sending dinner tonight. That was very thoughtful of you. Last week, I didn't think, so I'm going to do it now. Malka Fishman, Sharon Gompertz, Gila Lipsker, Yardena Lipsker, Sharona Namvar, Mina, Elisheva Wagshel, Rabbi Wagshel, Miriam Frimmerman, Nechama Gross, and the bakers for last week, Brachi Richa, Nechama Munich, Shana Chav Levitansky, Delis Bakery, BB's Pizza Station, Pizza Mark. And this week, I want to thank Hashem. Yesterday, when I was setting up the props here, it was a lot of stuff. It was 3 car fulls of stuff, and my car couldn't fit, and I had a baby, and I'm like, how am I going to fit everything? I said, Hashem, I'm doing this for you. Hashem, please send me somebody to help me. I literally went on Olympic Boulevard, and I'm like, excuse me, with someone with a pickup truck, could you please help me? And my friend's like, Dorilla, you're crazy. I'm like, no, I'm doing Hashem's work. I can't make 3 shifts. I can't do this. I need Hashem's help. And of course, Hashem sent me one with a beard and a shmata, and I said, this is Eliyahu Hanavi. Juan came, and he helped me fit everything so I can come in 1 shift here. Hashem, thank you for those miracles, And Perfect Party LA for the chairs, Miami Beach Chocolate for the chocolate, Pop Insanity, Mrs. Porakovich for helping me till 12:30 last night with the paintings. Flora, Zelda Kunin, thank you for stopping at Pat's for me, even when you have a baby. And the amazing bakers, Hyla Sperlin made the babka, blueberry muffin, and chocolate mousse. Triple brachas, thank you. Sarah Mayberg, Connie Pinson, the other Chani Pinson from Pasadena and La Brea, Ruchama Langsam, Danielle for Rosa Greenbaum, and her grandmother just passed away, and she showed me on the Matzeva that making a cheesecake for tonight's class. And coming back to LA, her grandmother, it says on the Matzeva, she was involved in Tarsa Mishpacha, so it should bring her Neshama Aliyah. Pat's Catering, Bracha Levitansky, Rifki Markowitz, Ada Kunin, and thank you to Orna and Chaya Bracha for helping with the raffle. Thank you for setup today. Ada Kunin, Ayala Salami, Angela Simon, Ruchama Linksam with 2 kids. Naomi Gassman, Sharon Frager, my amazing neighbor and sister. Sharon Anambar, Liron Zachri, Gila Newman, and the poems, my daughter Elisheva Wagshul. And now, Acharon Chaviv, we leave the best for last. My teacher, my mentor, and now that I became a college teacher, whenever I need advice, I have like a big sister that I could count on, who's there for me and honestly always there for me. Thank you for being an example, a dugmachai of regal. You could be beautiful, you could be tznius, you could be classy, elegant, a queen. With no further ado, Rebbe Yehudis Schneerson, thank you. Sorry, I also want to thank our amazing hostess. I'm so sorry, how did I forget? I'm sorry. I literally called to get her sister-in-law's number, and she said, Verlea, I want to host a shir in my house. Don't ask my sister-in-law. I always said I want to have a house I could host shirim and do brachas. Hashem should bench everyone to be able to have not only a house, but a beautiful home and do mitzvahs behiddur the way you do your hachnas esarchem. Thank you. And all the brachas.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Oop, everything is flying. So much. Do you need this?
Sure.
I don't have super loud voice, but I think the room easier with the mic. You hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm already very, very inspired with Geula and Voralea. Your stories, everything. You hear it okay? You hear it come? Clear? So I understand that this is the second class, Baruch Hashem, and last week you learned about how a woman becomes a nida. Was that the topic last week, right? Okay. There are some who wonder why the halacha talks and deals with so many details of the daily life and so many details about very intimate things between a husband and a wife. Thank you. Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much. So there are a couple of reasons, many reasons for this. I'm going to talk just about some of them. One of the reasons that the halacha talks about, deals with so many details, is to actually elevate the person, elevate us, the Yidden. And it says, Ratzah HaKadosh Baruch Hu lezakot et Yisrael. Hashem wanted to give us merits. Lefichach hirba lahem Torah u'mitzvot. Therefore, he gave us lots of Torah and mitzvahs. This is actually a chesed, a kindness that Hashem made, because each mitzvah is elevating us, and each detail is actually elevating a limb, a part of our bodies. So when we perform a mitzvah with our body, with specific parts of our bodies, this specific part is getting elevated. There was a lawyer that he was about to get married, and he learned that there are all these halachas, so many laws, so many details. So he told his teacher, actually all these details are proving that these are very practical and it's something that is being done all the time. Because when there is a law of court that is being dealt with on a daily or a lot, it is containing a lot of details. But there are some laws that rarely are being used. Those laws have very general laws, general ideas, but not all of these details. So these details of the halachas are proving to us that it's really, Baruch Hashem, done daily basis all the time. What is the reason that the world was created? So we know the pasuk that says, "V'zeh kol ha'adam et tachlis briyasoi, lios lo dira zu besachtoinim." The goal of Hashem, that Hashem created the world, is that we're creating a dira, a home for Hashem right here. And by taking something that on one hand, we see a potential for such, could be so lofty, which is intimacy between a husband and a wife. It's something that is one of the greatest things in potential. On the other hand, we see the gap because it could be something that's the lowest things in the world, lowest of low. We see it all over, right? Billboards, somebody mentioned before. So we, Baruch Hashem, we have the zchut to be able to take that and to bring it on one of the highest level, bringing the highest form, the highest level of kedusha down to the world when we're doing and following everything that, all the halachas, all the details that Hashem gave us. So today, I don't feel so comfortable with the microphone. It's kind of coming in and out, no? Okay. So today we're going to focus on actually a lot of material. Like usually when I teach a kala, I don't teach it in one time, which means that I will try, since it is a review, I will try to go over all the basic halachas, and some of them go deeper, but just realize that we're going through hefsek tara, shiva nikiyim, preparation for mikveh, and tevila. Yes, Dvorlea? So this is lots and lots of material, and I'll try to do the best that I could do. Before actually that I start, I have a tefila for Hashem, that chas v'shalom, there shouldn't be any takala through me, and only increasing in kedusha and tahara, the Jewish women. So hefsek tahara. You already learned how a woman becomes a nida. Today we're going to learn, continuing the process, hefsek tahara. What are the words hefsek tahara mean? We're going to learn what the meaning of the words, what are the necessary bdikas, examinations, what's the minimum that is required to be done so a woman can tevila, can immerse in a mikveh if she forgot to perform certain bdikas, what time is the right, appropriate time to do hefsek tahara, the edim, the bdikas, which I put here. The edim, the bdikas, yes, we do have them ready to buy online or at the mikveh, but what if a woman is in the middle of the road and it's a day that she needs to do a bdika, for example, the seventh day, and if she doesn't have it, she shouldn't check. What should she do? If she's going to miss it, she may have to wait one day, she may have to wait a week. We'll learn about it today. So let's begin. So hefsek tahara, the words hefsek means to stop. So this is stopping the days of the bleeding. Tahara, with the process of purification of tahara. Since we have a very diverse crowd here, I will mention something that may be relevant to some of you. The Sfaradim are counting minimum of 4 days from the day that a woman becomes a nida. The Ashkenazim count minimum of 5 days, including Chabad. So when a woman got her period, she has to make sure that a minimum of, and I will continue with 5 days, a minimum of 5 days have passed. The day that she got her period is day number 1. What if she got her period very close to sunset, to Shkia? If it's before Shkia, it's still day number 1. If it's 2-3 minutes after Shkia, it's considered already the following day, because the Jewish day always begins at night. The day does not have to be a complete day. If she didn't get it in the morning, and as we said, if she got it right before Shkia, it's already day number 1. I do want to take an example. Today is Tuesday. Shkia today was around approximately 5:20. Later, around 5:30. Because Lichtzen was around 5:16. So around 5:30 was Shkia. Today, Tuesday. If a woman got her period today, she went to the bathroom at 5:15 and she saw that she got her period. Tuesday is her first day. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Shabbos. Shabbos is her 5th day. On Shabbos, she can perform Hefsek Tahara. So I will repeat the question. If it's spotting and you know it's coming, you need to ask a Rav. Now, sometimes a woman might have just spotting and not a regular, and the period will start later. So the actual period is called a flow of blood, but every time a woman has a question, she should call up a Rav and ask him, when should be my first day of calculating the first day of period? There are a woman that I know had every month these issues where her period will start 2 days before with some kind of spotting. And for years, she did not get pregnant because the way of calculating. And for years, she was in nida for a very long time because the minute she saw a spot, she decided, I'm expecting my period. I'm at nida. And we had some classes we learned, and I told her, you should probably ask a Rav. What should you do? It was unbelievable because the Rav told her in her particular case, cases of very, very different colors, amounts. There are so many details that we don't know. But in any case, with this woman, the Rav told her that she was not a nida. And for years, she was extra days nida just because she was embarrassed to ask a Rav, or she didn't think that she should ask a Rav. So actually, I spoke with 2 rabbis before speaking tonight, and I asked them what would be the messages that you would like to give the women. I will go at the end with this, but one of the messages will go now. Said, whenever there is a question, both of them said, whenever there is a question or a doubt, ask a Rav. Why are we learning today? Because when we're learning, we know when is a question. Sometimes we don't even realize what is a question. So whenever there is any question, call up a Rav, don't hesitate. If you feel more comfortable calling a woman, sometimes there are issues that you don't feel, you may be embarrassed. I will give you my phone number. You can always call me. Sometimes I can make the phone call to the Rav. If this is an issue, not a problem. It's always better to call yourself because he may have questions that someone else will not know. But if anybody wants, please feel free, and I'll gladly make the phone call. So we know how to count the minimum of 5 days, and this is very, very important because we're not allowed, we're not permitted to perform Hefsek Tahara before the 5th day. In order to make hefsek tahara, so there are two conditions that are required. The first condition is that there is no bleeding, that the bleeding had stopped. And the second condition is how many days have passed. So a woman was bleeding, had her menstruation, regular cycle. The third day, she has a short cycle. Third day, the bleeding stopped. Oh, wonderful. Can I make my hefsek tahara now? No, you have to wait 2 extra days. And only then you can make your hefsek tahara. If the period is more than 5 days, this is a minimum of 5 days. If it's more, yes. At the same time, now, hefsek tahara is something that we must do. And some people ask why. I know I'm not bleeding. I haven't been bleeding, I don't know, for a long time. Why do I need to actually make examination? So it's interesting, the halacha, the explanation in halacha for that is that the same way when a woman started her nida state, when she saw blood, she also needs to see to prove that the bleeding had stopped. This is why hefsek tahara, this is the reason behind it. But this, we do it because it's halacha from Hashem, and we have the Kabbalah's oath to do it. So, I'm going to show you now how to do the hefsek tahara. So on the 5th day, minimum, if she has to wait longer, on the 5th day, a woman is required to try to perform hefsek tahara because it's permitted halachically. Sometimes a woman might be bleeding, and you know that we don't, even though the whole process happens within us, we don't really know that when the period starts, the uterus actually opens and the unfertilized egg, together with the lining of the uterus, everything starts shedding and coming out. There is a moment when the uterus has opened. There is also a moment when the uterus is closing. So sometimes if we checked in the morning of the 5th day and we say, I checked, I'm still bleeding. Another day is going. Don't give up. Because that moment of closing of the uterus may happen in the afternoon. We don't know when it happens. So unless we actually perform internal examination, we don't know if it's ended or not. So because on the 5th day we are permitted, on the 5th day we should try. And the best way is to try and to do it gradual, because we were bleeding for 5 days, more or less each woman. Even if the uterus closed and the bleeding had stopped, there is still plenty of bleeding inside the vagina. So checking and doing gradually and starting in the morning versus waiting till almost shkia and do it right by shkia, sometimes we don't have enough time. We need to clean up, and the cleaning is a process. I know I gave you an example and some people didn't like it, but I just feel it's such a good example to understand it, that when we have a chont pot cooking a whole Shabbos, we clean it up after Shabbos, we wash it and scrub it, and after the first time, usually we'll still have some things, we'll have to wash it again. Well, if we had bleeding for 5 days, it is a process usually to clean it. Now, unless someone has a very short period and she actually ended the 2nd and 3rd, okay. But many women have it until the 5th and sometimes maybe longer. So that's why the process ideally should be gradual to clean it and to check it internally. So the hefsek tahara has 4 steps that are required in halacha, and we'll see which steps are a must and which steps, if we miss them, we can still continue with the hefsek tara. So the steps is washing. Ideally, a woman should even take a bath because the bath water washes really in the inside better. Or a shower. It could be done in the morning. Doesn't have to be very close to Shkia. It may be better to wash it a little closer to when we do the hefsek tara, but it's part, we can do it, definitely could do it in the morning. Second step is a very thorough internal examination. Third one is we have to wear white undergarments. And the fourth step, the third and fourth, doesn't, not in that order, it could be changing, is performing the mochdachok. So let's go back to the first step of washing. So what's the bath or shower? What happens if a woman is in the middle of shopping, taking care of her kids or wherever she is and she has to do it and she cannot take a shower now? So if you have baby wipes, you can wipe yourself with baby wipes. Try not to actually use baby wipes internally because it changes, I understand it changes the pH. Thank you. So it's better not. We can wash the area with warm water. And if not, we can wipe herself. And if a woman cannot wipe herself, she can still proceed with the hefsek tara without anything, because the washing, the wiping, the goal of this is to help us get a clean internal examination. What happens on Shabbos or Yom Tov or Yom Kippur or Tisha B'Av? So Yom Kippur, Tisha B'Av, we don't even make our full hand wet, right? But because hefsek tara is something that is so important, it's precedent, and a woman can take water that were heated before Shabbos, or we can leave hot water, take it and mix it with some cold water and wash just the area. So hefsek tara, a woman is allowed to make any time of the year. Even Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippur don't push off hefsek tara. And the truth is, what we can really take from that is that a husband and a wife being intimate one day earlier or as soon as possible is such an important concept in halacha that the halacha gives it the right to do it no matter what happens during the year. And a woman should try to perform her hefsek tara as soon as she can. So this way she can go to the mikveh as soon as she can. We're going to go now to, so we spoke about the first step of hefsek tara, which is washing. Second step is a thorough internal examination. I'm actually going to show you how we do that. So we take the examination cloth, the bedika cloth, the aid, it has many names. Ideally, we use the index finger and put it in the middle of the cloth, and we wrap it around the finger in any way that you want. I'll show you two different ways. And we have to make sure that the finger is actually wrapped well and properly, and we don't perform the bedika with any part of revealed finger, because then the bedika is not a kosher bedika. So either in the middle and just wrap it this way, or you can fold one side of it and wrap it around. So the important idea is that the finger is wrapped well, and no, we don't perform the bedika with revealed skin. There is an advice that is given for a woman to stand up with one leg raised on the chair, on a small stool, bathtub. So one leg should be higher, and this allows the pelvic area to be at its widest angle. So So, but this is an advice, it's not a halacha. If someone is not comfortable with this, she should do it a different way. We are not actually lying down. We're not supposed to do it lying down because then the whole angle is different. We're supposed to do it standing. If there are any questions or any issues that a woman must be experiencing with standing, she should call up a Rav. So we wrap it around the index finger, wrap it around, raise one finger. We insert it as deep as possible in the vagina. And then the halacha says like this. It has to go around in the creases and folds of the vagina. The vagina is not smooth. It has to go, we have to do it very, very super gentle, but it does have to go into all the creases and folds. And we do it in round motions and going down and take it out and look at it. Now, what is the difference between hefsek tahara and the examination during the 7 clean days? The hefsek tahara, if the first one, the first examination that came out is not clean, we can go ahead and perform as many examinations as we want. We don't want to overdo it because we don't want to irritate the vagina, but definitely a few times. Now, what happens if someone's area is a little dry? It happens. Sometimes it happens when you just keep on doing the examination. Sometimes people just have dry for different reasons. I used to get it after I gave birth. I used to get super dry. So if you need to use something, you can use, you're allowed to use clear lubricant. Some options that I'll just give you, there is something that's called KY jelly that's specifically for that area. There is also coconut oil that many people will say is much healthier. Make sure it's clear. I asked Rabbi Schneerson, where can you put it? Where is it better? On the thicker clothes or on the body? He said, no difference. So you put it wherever is comfortable for you, wherever you feel comfortable, and you can use it with lubricant. Yes, you can put water, but sometimes a lubricant feels actually is much more comfortable than water. But you can, if anybody feels comfortable with water, water is good, but then you need to squeeze it. If you make this wet, you need to squeeze it and get the water out and then perform the examination. So it shouldn't be soaking wet when you perform.
Sorry, I just want to add, instead of keep doing it, but
Correct. The whole 4 steps of hefsek tahara has to be done close to shkia. We're going to talk in a minute about the time, and must be completed before shkia, and we'll talk about that also. So after a woman finished to do that thorough examination, she can put on her white underwear, and very close to shkia, she's going to do her mochdachuk. So let's talk about the time. When is the right time to perform hefsek tahara? So the best time, according to halacha, to perform hefsek tahara, it's written very close to shkia, and it is approximately a half hour before shkia. If it's an hour before shkia, it's also okay. Best a half hour before shkia. Then there is the second best. What's the second best time? Sometimes, I don't have kids in Beis Chaim Mushka now. I don't have kids in Cheder Menachem. But when I used to go and do carpool, Beis Chaim Mushka or Cheder Menachem, I used to look at my watch. I think that Geula said, or somebody said 4:50. No, Shkia was 4:15. At 4 o'clock, I had to be at Beis Chaim Mushka. I'm not going to be back before 5 o'clock. What am I going to do? It's completely throws off the whole, what I want to do. So if you can ask somebody or your husband or someone else to do it for you, that's best. And if not, So the second best time to perform hefsek tahara is something that's called plag hamincha. I printed some papers for you. I'm going to give it to you at the end because we're going to go over it. On the paper, there is a website. I know that you can look in chabad.org to see the time. There is also something that's called myzmanim.com. In that, you're going to see something that's called plag hamincha. So from plag hamincha and up, you can also perform your hefsek tahara, which means the main part of hefsek tahara is the thorough examination. What happens if a woman checked herself in the morning? We said that the process better to do it gradually. What happened if she did it in the morning and she intended to do her hefsek tahara later, but at 4 o'clock she's home, she's ready to start to do it. The baby made in the diaper. The 3-year-old fell off a chair. Something else burning on the oven. And by the time she looks around, she missed. It's too late. So if this woman checked herself earlier by day and had a clean examination, she should call up her Rav and say, this is what happened. I missed the hefsek tahara, but I did check earlier by day and it was clean. Now, there are many details about it. You should call up a Rav. For example, what if a woman checked herself in the morning, had a clean examination, but later on at 12:30, she saw a stain on her underwear. Or she wiped herself and looked and saw a stain then. So there are, of course, that it's important that everything was clean from that time that she made her examination. So yes, there are details and she should call up a Rav, but there is a very good chance that it's good and it's considered a good hefsek tahara. And she can start counting from the following day. Until when can she make hefsek tahara? So the latest is shkia. What happens if a woman is running home from carpool or from wherever, and she's looking and there are 3 minutes or 2 minutes for shkia until she goes to the bathroom, it's 1 minute, and she has to finish everything before shkia. Shkia is that's the borderline. So we said you can skip washing. You must have a thorough examination. And we didn't speak yet about the mochdachuk. So a woman can take bedika cloth, insert it in, turn it around, and push it in. Don't take it out because you don't even have time for that. And push it high in and wait and use it as a bedika and mochdachuk together. And then this is fine, it's good. What if by the time she comes in, it's 2 minutes after shkia? Do it, perform it, look at the time, call up the Rav and say, it was 2 minutes after shkia, is it okay? Or did I miss that day and I have to wait for tomorrow? So if you're 2 minutes, 3 minutes late, do it. And don't call up anybody at that time, just do it. And then ask after that. So we spoke about when to do the hefsek tahara. When should a woman insert the mochdachuk? The mochdachuk should be inserted as close as possible to shkia. We don't want it too much time in there. And although, again, sometimes we have circumstances that we need to put it earlier. And in that case, you should call up a Rav and ask, how early can I put my mochdachuk? Ideally, we put it very, very close to shkia. How much is very close? 2 minutes before, 5 minutes before. So if shkia was today at 5:30, so a woman at 5 o'clock can go in the shower and do whatever she needs to, do a bedika of hefsek tahara, And at 5:25, she should go in and insert her moich dachok. So the moich dachok, we take either the same one that's clean or another one. Do the same thing, wrap it around our finger, raise one foot, insert it in. We don't need to turn it. We'll leave it in, and we have to keep it in until Tzeis HaKochavim, till nightfall, until it's dark. All these times, I know that some people sometimes learn, there are some misconception that people think, okay, I have to keep it inside for 20 minutes. Or I'm looking outside when it's like, I can estimate when the shkia is. So don't estimate, because it could be still light outside and shkia is already past. And Tzeis HaKochavim, nightfall also, it's very important to check the calendar every day. It's changing. Check the calendar. Don't take it out too early, and don't miss the shkia when you do hefsek tara. If a woman didn't miss the shkia, her hefsek tara is not valid. If she is 10 minutes late, hefsek tara is not valid, and she has to wait a whole other day. There is a story about David HaMelech, that he was sitting with his beis din, and it says from morning till night. And what did he do with his beis din? David HaMelech metaher isha leba'ala. He would work together with the beis din to make sure that when a woman had a shaila, had any questions, to approve it. And of course, if they could, but they worked very, very hard to make sure that the question is okay. And actually, this is every rabbi that you're asking will also go through the efforts to tell you that the shaila is okay, that it's good. Sometimes we are too hard on ourselves, and we are fast to say, I don't want to ask the Rav. I was by him yesterday, Monday, I was by him Sunday, I called him on Friday. Too much, I can't do that anymore. The Rav will go through the effort to tell you that the question is good. And actually it says that women in Russia, they used to say that the women literally lived in the yard of the Rav because they had a lot of questions. There is another story about Yehoshua bin Nun. When they entered Eretz Yisrael, there was the war with Yericho. And as we know, it was a very hard war, and it ended very late. And there was this moon that was standing and the sun that was standing. The war continued late. And they would take the Aron with the luchos with them in front for the war. And at the end of this war, they were very, very tired, and they did not put the Aron with the luchos back where it belonged. The halacha at that time was that if the Aron is not placed in its place, in the appropriate place, the Jewish couples where the woman was not a nida, they were not allowed to be intimate. So the Midrash is telling us that this happened. Yehoshua bin Nun was punished because who bitel ona me'am Israel, because he prevented those couples for one night to be together. He was punished that he had no children. So why are we learning this? Because it's so important to be intimate with the husband as soon as possible, not to be too easy to push off even one day, and to try our best to perform hefsek tara as soon as we are permitted, as soon as we can. We're looking at these bdika clothes, and we said, what happens if a woman is on the road or she ran out of bdika clothes? Call me if you run out. I always have a big package. You're very welcome. I'll leave it outside in the mailbox. Yes, I don't even need to see you. You can send me a text. So what happens if a woman doesn't have it? And what happens if you're not in Los Angeles? You're in Palm Springs and you need bdika clothes, and where are you going to Palm Springs? In Palm Springs exactly, or wherever, in Hawaii. So the halacha says that bdika clothes needs to have three important things. It has to be soft, so it doesn't hurt us. It has to be white, and it has to be absorbent. It has to absorb when we're checking. So if a woman doesn't have it, you know that women 2,000 years ago, they found mikvahs in Metzada, right? Women 2,000 years ago still did all of these. They did examinations, they went to the mikveh, but they didn't have this perfect square with that little, how do we call that? A little tail hanging. They did not have that 2,000 years ago. So how did they perform their examinations? They did it. They had the halachas were given with Torah. So we do have options. If we do get stuck, yes, this is the most convenient. It's ready. It's pre-washed. And by the way, we should look at it that there are no stains. So if a woman is stuck, there are a few options. First of all, look, does your husband wear his white, soft cotton undershirt? If he does, ask him if he will sacrifice it for you, and you cut it and you use it. By the way, when I got married, it was many years ago, I don't remember having this at all. I think that's all we did, was cutting these, cutting them, launder them, so because it wasn't like so available. So yes, if you're getting stuck, you can do that. Another option is if you are on the road and you want to say, let me stop at a gas station, but what do you have on you? First of all, it's always good and important to keep it in your bag, so you have it available. But what if you don't? You can take a tissue, a white, soft tissue, double it, because one may just fall apart, double it and perform your bedika. You can use your white underwear, you can be creative. Yes, there are a lot of things you can do. So toilet paper is like a white tissue, yes, double it up. Now this is bedi'evet, not lechatchila, but what if a woman is on her 7th day, and if she's going to miss her examination, like probably everybody knows, she may miss the whole bedika. She may have to wait a whole day. And in some circumstances, she may have to wait a whole week. So should she not do it? Of course she should. Take a toilet paper or a tissue and do that. Yeah. So once a woman completed her hefsek tahara, the 7 clean days begin, and these have to be complete 7 days, which means start at night. The hefsek tahara has to be completed before Shkia. The following night, start the 7 clean days. The 7 clean days starts in Chabad, according to the Alter Rebbe, according to the Tzemach Tzedek, a woman should wear white nightgown, use a white sheet and white underwear, and check this. What happens if a woman doesn't have that? Either she's on the road or whatever, she doesn't have it. She can still proceed, it's still okay to continue without it. She just has to check that whatever she's using is clean from stains. If she's using colored underwear, it's still okay, colored sheet, but lechatchila she should have that. Let's go with the 7 clean days. 7 clean days, every day a woman has to perform 2 examinations, once in the morning, once in the afternoon before Shkia. What happens if she checked and she has a question? She should not make another bedika. If she checked in the morning and she has a question, she should not make another bedika. She should bring it to a rabbi who is expert in these colors. I want to tell you a personal story. I had some issues. I don't even remember what exactly, but I had to go to OBGYN doctor. And he checked me, whatever. He said everything is okay. There, 2 later, I made hefsek tahara, and I had a question. So I sent it to the Rav. I send it because my husband is good enough. If your husbands don't want to do it, doesn't mean they're not good enough. They may be excellent. Take it yourself to the rabbi. Today, you can leave it to the rabbi outside in an envelope. You can do it anonymously, leave your phone number. It's better actually to put your name, but if you don't want, it's not an issue. So I sent it to the Rav. The Rav calls me back. He's asking me, did you put any lotion, any cream? I said, no, didn't put anything. So he tells me the color does not look like a natural color. To me, I didn't see anything. I said, I went to a doctor 2 days ago, to OBGYN. It was an Israeli doctor at the time. I'm gonna call him and ask him. He didn't tell me anything. I don't know, I'm not aware of it. Called the doctor and he said, yes, I put some cream on you because I had some kind of wounds. He put some cream. And whatever he put, even a day or two later, showed up on the Bedika cloth. And the Rav, who is an expert in colors, was able to differentiate it and see that this was not a regular natural color. So the Rabbanim are very big experts on colors. And if a woman performed hefsek tahara, she did it already. If it's very, very red, no doubt, okay, you don't need to send it to the Rav. But if it's not red, maybe it could be darker brown, it could be brown, it could be pink. Send it to the Rav. Do not decide by yourself. Even if you've been by the Rav 5 times in the last 2 days, send it to the Rav. Don't decide, because the Rav are really experts and they will do their best to make sure it's good. So 7 clean days. Every time a woman performs a mitzvah, she elevates that part of the body, and there is a malach created from this mitzvah. What happens if a woman sees blood in the middle of the Shiva Nikiyim? In that case, she does not have to wait the minimum of 5 days again. As soon as she stops seeing, she performs a new hefsek tahara and starts counting the 7 clean days. The 7 clean days must be consecutive. No questions in the middle. No questions. I mean, no issues of staining. If there is an issue of staining, you have to ask a Rav. But if it's not okay, you have to restart the counting of the 7 clean days. And the long 7 days finishing, and the woman and her husband are together counting those long 7 clean days. According to the Tzemach Tzedek, when a woman performs a bdika, either the morning or the evening, she should actually verbalize in her mouth, today is my first day of Shiva Nikiyim, today is my second day of Shiva Nikiyim. Count it and verbalize. It doesn't matter if it's morning or afternoon bdika. Sometimes women may feel that they're coming closer to the mikveh. They can lax a little bit with the hachakas. So this is a very wrong attitude. We have to keep the hachakas until after the actual immersion, the actual tevila. The day of the tevila, and the tevila is always the same day a woman made her hefsek tahara. She made it on today, Tuesday. Next Tuesday night is going to be her tevila night. On the day of tevila, if a woman is going to the tevila tonight, she should be careful from certain things. What should she be careful from? I learned the hard way, things that I need to be careful from. Overall, we have to be careful from sticky things. We have to try, the halacha actually telling us to try not to eat meat, because meat tends to get stuck between the teeth. I went to the mikveh on Pico. It was a late night and I finished late, and on the way home, I'm driving this big suburban van and I feel that something comes out from between my teeth, and it was a little piece of apple peel that I ate that apple, the day. Of course, I brushed my teeth. Of course, I flossed between them, but I missed it. And now, after the mikveh, that little piece of apple came out. So I called the Rav, and the Rav said I had to go and tevila again. So even though it's in my mouth, and the mouth does not have to be open during tevila, it still was not okay. And I had to go tevila again. So it was very late, and I had to call a friend of mine to open the other mikveh for me. So I'll be able to go to the mikveh that night. So I learned that I cannot eat apples on the day when I have to go to the mikveh. But each one of us knows mango, corn, popcorn. Try to avoid it. What happened if a woman ate it?
No raspberries.
Raspberries. What happened if a woman ate it? If she ate it, she's still allowed to go to the mikveh. She just has to be extra careful to clean between her teeth. Another thing that is, what's that? Oh, the clock. Okay. Another thing that is very useful is to bring with you a real sticky candy, taffy, Laffy Taffy. My kids love it. I can't take it. But take it with you to the mikveh, and right after the tevila, say a bracha and put it in your mouth and start eating at it. And whatever you find afterwards, don't worry, you have that Laffy Taffy in your mouth. So that's actually a very good way to do it. There are many mikvot in Israel that they have a custom at the mikveh, right after the washing station. They have a little bowl with the stickiest candies you can find. And they have the bowl, and women in the mikveh, after they, wash their negelvasa afterwards, take a candy from this. And yeah, it's actually a nice minhag. If somebody has a shaila, they should call up a Rav. Write it down. I can't hear it. Okay, so we're going to go over now the preparations for the mikveh. The day of the tevila is a day that we should try to increase in Torah, tefillah, and tzedakah. It's a special day. We want to prepare ourselves physically, but also spiritually. We read stories of tzaddikim, put extra tzedakah, say extra tehillim. It could be one perek because you have a crazy day, but one perek. Learn hayom yom, which is just a few lines of Dvar Torah, or if you can find anything else, try to increase in Torah, tefillah, and tzedakah. Another very nice minhag that many women have is at the mikveh to put some tzedakah before the immersion. So chatzitza. Chatzitza means anything that is an intervention between our body and the mikveh water. Anything that is not our natural body and not connected to our body, even our own hair, but if it fell off, this is a chatzitza. At the time of tevila, a woman's body has to be very clean and nothing should intervene. When we're talking about the chatzitzas, there is something different than what we learned until now. When we have Shiva Nikiyim, everybody's doing the same way. Have Sektara, everybody is doing the same way. But preparing for the mikveh, there is something different. What is different? If the halacha the halacha tells a woman that her body needs to be ready to tevila, that the water should reach every area. The halacha, for example, does not tell a woman that she has to remove her underarm hair. Halacha doesn't say if a woman wants to keep it, she can keep it. Right? No problem with this. But if a woman, for her underarm hair is bothering her, for her it's a chatzitza, and she has to remove it. Now, overall hair should be ideally removed, not on the day of the mikveh, but prior to that. Best even 3 days before. If a woman wants to get a haircut, if she wants to remove any hair, it doesn't matter if it's waxing or laser or shaving. whichever way you pick. Better to do it a few days before the mikveh. What if you didn't? You can do it on the day of the mikveh, but just be careful that you don't have any pieces of hair and any something like this that is a chatzitza. What if a woman, when her hair, even though it's covered with the tichlum, with the sheitel, she likes it, it's starting to get white, and she wants to color her hair. She likes when her hair is colored. Then for her, if she has white, if the hair starts growing white and it's time to color it, it's bothering her, for her it's a chatzitza. And she needs to do it before the mikveh. Now, any things like this that a woman is doing, any hair removal that a woman is doing, or coloring, or anything of this, a woman, when she starts to do it, maybe too late because I think most everybody's married here, but anyway, when she starts to do it, if she did it for 3 times, it's like a needle. And then if she did it, and then at a certain point, there was a woman who called me, I always used to wax my legs and bikini and everything. And now, I don't know, I don't care for it anymore. It doesn't bother me. What should I do? Do I need to remove it for the mikveh or not? So this is actually a very important question to call up a Rav, because also there are many details about that. Sometime a woman may need a beis din to nullify her neder. So that's why ideally when a woman is doing any of these things, she should say, even before anything, she should say, when I'm going to do anything that I do, this is going to be bli neder. So at any point of my life, if I want to stop doing, I don't know, removing my bikini hair, it's maybe too hard for me at certain times. She should say it, or even verbalize it, that it's bli neder, whatever she's doing. So a woman should bathe. I know that sometimes people say amount of time. The idea is that a woman should soften her body. If we know a week in advance when we have to go to the mikveh, if there are certain areas that need to be taken care of, there is hard skin on the feet, elbows, lice, anything like this need to be taken care of, take care of it early. If a woman does have lice, by the way, on the day of the mikveh, she should call up a Rav and ask what to do. The hair should be combed with a comb, not with a brush, and separate all the hair. If a woman did not remove her hair from her private places, she should actually, it usually is long, she should actually comb it or make sure it's separated with her hand. Dirt, any mucus in the eyes, nose, ears. When a woman prepares for the mikveh, she should go over and pay special attention to the following areas. I have a list. What's the following areas? Yeah. Ears and behind the ears. Earring holes. Earrings have to be removed. Remember to clean up the earring holes, the piercing, back, underarms, elbows, nipples, any places in the body that she has any folds between her legs, knees, between the toes. The woman has to cut up her nails, fingernails and toenails, cut any hanging skin sometimes that we have on the nails. Now, we're talking about what personally bothers a woman. If a woman, her cuticles are bothering her, and she needs to have her cuticles cut, for her, she needs to do it before the mikveh. So if you do it before the mikveh, say, this is not a neder. Today it's bothering me. Maybe in 2 years it won't. We have to clean up eyes, and we said inside the eyes. eyebrows, lashes, nose, ears. So a woman should soak her body so it gets soft. And then she has to check if she has to use the bathroom. Now, sometimes it can happen that even after the mikveh, when she comes out of the mikveh, she thinks she has to use the bathroom because the water can cause her that feeling. So if you went to the bathroom right before, don't worry about it. If a woman did use the bathroom after the bath, she should rewash that area. What is the purpose of tevila? Is it for us to be clean? It's not. We already cleaned ourselves before. So the goal of tevila is to make us tahor. It's for kedusha and for tahara. There are ways that the halacha is describing how a woman should tevel. When a woman tevels, the water should reach every area in her body. I just want to pause and add something that I forgot that I want to add. The hair in the tevila should be completely underwater. The Rebbe had mentioned regarding the length of hair. The Rebbe mentioned that the hair should not be longer than a tefach and shorter than chatzi tefach and half a tefach. A tefach, I Googled what would be in inches. A tefach is about 4 inches. The purpose of this, there are different reasons for that. If a woman likes her hair a little bit longer so she can keep it in a pony, she should actually ask a Rav. But, you know, if it's too hard for her right now, I can understand, but I think it's important to know that this is what the Rebbe said. And for tevila, it makes a very, very big difference because when the hair is short, first of all, it's easier to keep the hair separated, so there are no knots. Also, it's easier to make sure that when she dips in, all hair is under the water. What is the job of the mikveh lady? Really, her job is to stand and make sure that a woman is completely covered with the water covering the woman completely, and all hair is also covered, and no hand is sticking out, and the hair is all under the water. There is a custom, though, in the mikveh, that the mikveh lady many times will ask you, not many times, but all the time, can you show me your hands? Can you show me the bottom of your feet? Let me look at it. She's doing you a favor by doing this. It's not her responsibility, but it's a big favor, especially if she checks you back and you checked it and you can't really see even if you can look. Another thing that the mikveh lady, especially in Chabad, will do, she will tell you, while I check your back, you look in the front. And this is a very, very important, because when we are talking about what are the must things for a kosher tevila, so far we said it's hefsek tahara, right? We didn't talk about the bdikas. The bdikas that a woman has to check for all 7 days, twice a day. What happens if she forgot to make an examination? It's okay, as long as she did a minimum of 1 bdika on the first day, a minimum of 1 bdika on the 7th day. Last time I gave a class, Rabbi Schneerson said a comment. We have to keep in mind that if a woman makes bdikas 1st and 7 only, what happens? So if she made bdikas every day, 2 bdikas, maybe she forgot some in the middle, and on the 7th day, she forgot to make her bdikas, but she did the other ones. Then she has to wait 1 more day. And the 1 more day is the 7th day. And then she goes to the mikveh, because the 7th day is a crucial bdika for a kosher immersion. But if a woman, for whatever reason, sometimes the Rav will tell a woman to do only 1st and 7th because she might have some circumstances that she cannot do. If a woman is doing only the 1st and 7th, and she forgot to make the bdika on the 7th day, then she has to wait a whole week. She has to count it again. That's why it's important. So I'm just going to summarize again. So what is the must for kosher tevila? Hefsek tara, bdika on the first day, bdika on the seventh day, and before kosher immersion, there is another thing that's a must for kosher immersion, and that's called, in Lashon Kodesh, it's called the iyun. Iyun means when I finished all my preparations, I bathed, I cut, I removed all the makeup. Now I have to inspect myself. So you stand in front of the mirror and you look. Eyes, ears, and it's good to go, top to bottom or bottom to top to make sure that we don't forget anything, we don't miss anything. Hair, eyes, nose, teeth, did I brush and clean up between your teeth, whichever way you want to clean it up. Today they have the water floss, whatever you want. Ears, and go down, go all over. Did I look, not just think, did I do it, but look all around you, make sure I don't have any loose hair. I cleaned up the pierced ears, the holes. Make sure it's all clean. The halacha says that if a woman forgot to do that part of inspection, she toiveled, she went out of the mikveh. Oh, I forgot to look at myself right before I toiveled. The tevila is not a kosher tevila. She has to go and toivel again. Now, don't get scared if you didn't do it, because in the mikveh, when the mikveh lady tells you, look in the front, you are yaitz at that inspection. But usually, remember, don't count on her. It's your responsibility when you finish the preparations to actually look over and make sure that you don't have any chatzitza, that you're completely clean. Makeup removal or any shampoo or soap that we use, if it has something that is that stays like you don't maybe know so much shampoo, but for sure you have conditioner that leaves residue. But some shampoos and some soap is made especially with some lotion. That's why in the mikveh, usually they use baby shampoo because it has no residue. So it's important to use these things. And let's talk now. You're ready for the tevila. You did your inspection, and then you call the mikveh lady. So the tevila is where the feet are a little bit apart. The arms should not be too close to our body, but a little bit loose. Fingers not too tight, but loose. Eyes not closed tight, shut tight, closed but loosely. Same way with the mouth. Here, even though the mouth can be closed, it has to be completely clean in the inside. And the description of the halacha is that a woman bends down as if she's kneading dough. So when we knead dough, even if you don't do challahs, the position is more forward, right? We don't stand like this and knead our dough. We usually, right? We're moving our body forward a little bit and knead our dough this way. So this is when a woman is toiveling in the mikveh, she should bend down. You can bend down your knees and go down. After one tevila, you stand up, we need to cross our hands and say the bracha. Some women make a mistake and they think they need to cover their chest. That's not the reason. The reason of this is that we need to separate between the heart, the top part of the body, the heart, and the bottom part of the body. So the hands need to be lower than the heart. So the hands should be crossed here. And then we say the bracha. So the bracha is asher kedeshanu mitzvah v'tzivanu al hatvila. We should not talk between first tvila, bracha, and second tvila. No talking. If a woman wants to say a hiratzon and she wants to say her special prayers, by the way, I always learn new things whenever I teach. I learned today, we know that tevila is a very special time for prayers and requests from Hashem. So I learned that the whole time after tevila until they're intimate is a special time for davening. So if you forgot to daven for someone, for something, keep in mind you have time, you can daven. So if a woman wants to say the Yehi Ratzon, she should do it after the second tevila or before her last tevila. So if her last tevila is the third, she'll do it after between second and third. If a woman tevils more, she can do it. Some people will tevel 5 or 7, she should do it before her last tevila. Okay. If it takes a woman longer than between 45 to 60 minutes, more than an hour to prepare for the mikveh, could be a few possibilities. Could be she's more machmir than needed to be. Could be she has some tendency to OCD. I definitely do. So a woman should speak with the Rav. If she sees that it takes her too long, she should speak with the Rav. Maybe she's machmir when she doesn't have to be. Another thing, there is a wonderful book that came out, if anybody wants to make a note for themselves. It's called the Taharas HaMishpacha Workbook. And this is a book especially for people who might have problems when they prepare to the mikveh, that things can take them too long. It's very specific and it's very helpful, and this is what it's geared for. All the halachas are very, very important. But what is more important and the most important? To live together with shalom bayis, with love, with respect, with joy. Whatever we do, this is the goal that Hashem wanted us to make a home for Him, a dwelling place for Hashem here in this world. So all of these detailed halachas, and sometimes, how we say from all trees, we miss to see the forest. Sometimes we are so engulfed with all the details that we forget. This is a mitzvah of Hashem. This is what Hashem wants us to do. He wants us to be happy. He wants us to do it b'simcha. It's Adar, it's Purim Katan, but even if we go Motzei Tisha B'Av, we still need to do it with a lot of simcha. The bedroom in Hebrew is called Chadar HaMitot, the room of the beds. The bedroom should be a room that, according to the Masoros of the Jewish Masorah, according to custom, it should look, we have 2 beds, it should be calm and relaxed, it should contain simcha and happiness, and not chas v'sholem pressure and fears. If a woman does feel it, she should reach out, speak with a Rav, speak with people who can help her. A very important message is, if it's not necessary to perform a bdika, during the 7 clean days, a woman has to make 2 bdikas, right? When the woman is pure, she doesn't have to make bdikas. But sometimes she felt, she thought, she saw on the toilet paper, she runs and she makes a bdika. This bdika, that's not a mitzvah, she's not commanded to do it, is only can cause things to be more complicated and worse. So if you don't have a mitzvah to do a bdika, don't do it. You have a shaila, ask the Rav. I had to send the Rav toilet paper also. Underwear, everybody has, but toilet paper, I learned the hard way. Don't perform a bdika. If there is a shaila on the toilet paper versus a shaila on a bdika, internal examination that you made, it's a big difference. It can make things much, much more difficult for a Rav to say that it's okay. So be in touch with the rabbis, not just when you become a nida, but regularly. Every time you have any questions, be in contact with the Rav. There's another thing about the Sheva Nikiyim that I forgot, the Hefsek Tara that I forgot to mention, and I want to mention it now. What happened if during the 7 clean days, a woman does have a question, and she can get it to the Rav today? Whatever, maybe the question is right before Shkia. She should make a hefsek al t'nai, on condition. You make a hefsek if the previous one, if the shaila is not okay, I make a new hefsek. The shaila is okay, I can continue counting like what I had before. There was a paper that I wanted to give you. What is this? And you can give it out. It's very quick. Don't want to pass it around. It is also part of Taharas HaMishpacha, although it's not relevant to what we learned today. And you want to give a pile to each row here. This is a quote from a Rebbe's letter talking about hair covering. I did not see the letter that this woman wrote. Let me see the response of the Rebbe. The Rebbe is quoting the Zohar in this letter. And many other times the Rebbe quoted the Zohar. Women wrote to the Rebbe about different questions. And many times the Rebbe quoted the Zohar as part of his answer. I'm going to read it now. I'm going to read the English. Regarding what you mentioned in your letter about the lack of parnasa in connection to the concept of a woman covering her hair, it's no wonder, look at the sharp words the Rebbe is using. It's no wonder that parnasa is tight, as it is explained in the Holy Zohar, that when the woman of the house covers her hair in a proper manner, they are blessed in all material and spiritual blessings, with wealth and with children and grandchildren, since the Torah is a living Torah, a guide to life, including day-to-day living. So I'm sure everybody is doing her best, but doing better. From personal experience, a couple of years ago, I went through some challenges and I decided that I'm going to be more careful with covering. Of course, I covered my hair all the time, but I took wherever level each person is, we can always increase and do more. The idea of the hair, as we know that the story that the Rebbe brought so many times from the Gemara about Kimchit, who was very careful that the walls of her house wouldn't see her hair. And the Midrash is telling us, how did she do it? How did she bathe? She had tricks. She had girls standing around her holding sheets when she was showering or bathing herself. Each one of us can increase in that. I can tell you from personal experience that I've seen amazing brachas coming after I took upon myself some more things to cover, to make sure my hair is covered very, very properly. Now, as the Rebbe always wrote and said, when the head is covered with the tichel, the hair is not covered properly. Even people who cover and there is nothing personal, chas v'shalom, nobody should take it any personal. These are all the Rebbe's words. When we cover the hair with a sheitel, we are more careful that no hair should stick out. It's just, these are the facts. So if we try to understand that by doing something, the Yetzer Hara is working very hard to make us not do it. But once we start to do it, we can see it's not so hard. If we try to really understand, the Rebbe is trying to give us, shower us with tremendous brachas. Women, the Rebbe is saying, start being more careful with covering your hair. You're going to have so many brachas. So I want to end with a bracha to everybody to have all the brachas, abundance, the gashmias, the ruchmias, all the brachas should be revealed, and all the brachas of the Rebbe that the Rebbe was giving us, the brachas, blessings above and blessing under, and abundance of blessing in a revealed way to each and every one. Okay, I'm just reading. There are very few questions. Is callus on bottom of feet something you can lax about if you're lax about it all the time?
Callus, like dead hard skin on your heel.
So the thing is that when a woman is sitting in the bath for some time, it softens up even that. It's better, yes, to take care of it and to make sure, because hard skin is a chatzitza, like callus. If it's really hard skin, this callus it is a chatzitza. So yes, a woman should definitely take care of it. If you know a week in advance, you can start putting lotion, or you want to pamper yourself, go and have some pedicure. What if you accidentally traveled with contact lenses? Great question. Call up a Rav. A woman should remove her contact lenses. This is a chatzitza. But if a woman traveled, if she was with her husband, if she wasn't, when did she realize it? These are all questions a woman should ask a Rav if she realized that she traveled with contact lenses. Who are the Chabad Rabbanim available for questions in LA? There is Rabbi Kesselman, there is Rabbi Schusterman, and in Sherman Oaks, there is Rabbi Lipsker. If somebody wants phone numbers, I can give it to you actually right now. I just need you have it? Do you want to read the number? Rabbi Schusterman's number, I remember by heart, I'll tell you. It's 310-271-9063. Dvorlea will give you the other numbers. I want to give you my, yes, sure. In the mirror, yes, yes, of course. It's a minhag. You can cut it. It's better to. Yeah.
One hair. It's not cutting.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's better to. Just be careful. Yes. Miriam, you wanted to ask something. So the question is, are there any tips when a woman wears a tichel at home? Unfortunately, I am not a tichel expert at all. I do want to tell you that I did get a sheitel that will be my home sheitel. I cook with this. I don't sleep with this, but I cook with this, and I do everything at home with my home sheitel. So it's just more comfortable. And I want to tell you that when my friends come and they say, "Oh, you're always dressed," and I don't understand what they're talking, because I feel I'm wearing my shmates sheitel. So what do you mean? So you have a sheitel on? Well, yeah. So it does help us to look a little bit better. Yeah. 1 second. No. It's a man-made law. It's not a law. According to halacha, a woman should be very, very careful. I actually learned, like I told you, I learned some new things, that the hair, that a woman shouldn't show her hair is not only for tznius. I thought it was mainly for tznius. It's not only for tznius. It's actually written in Zohar. It's explained that the hair, once a woman is married, right before she's married, it's not a problem. Once she's married, the revealed hair actually can create dinim. It can create kitulgim. That's why I don't want to talk about it, because we talk about the Rebbe didn't say that. But to me, it actually helped me to understand that it's not an idea of tznius only. It's an idea that it brings, when the hair is covered, because it's not only tznius, because there is a much, I mean, I wouldn't say deeper, but other concept, other reasons when the hair is covered properly, it brings tremendous brachas that we can't even imagine. Yes, sorry, somebody wanted to ask me.
I'm asking if you're not allowed to show 2 fingers or to put a shit, or if it's a Chabad thing or it's everyone. It's not everyone. Yeah, I was gonna say. But it's not halakha.
It is halacha.
No, it's Chabad.
What is that? Not to wear a sheitel, but that doesn't say they're allowed to show hair. What? Okay, let me clarify something.
I'm sorry, I'm wearing a sheitel. For me, honestly, from my house, it's not allowed. So we need to make it clear that for me, the party, it's not allowed to put a sheitel. We must to put a tickle. Yeah, and tickle to look amazing. Not like shmatis.
I hear what you said. The Rebbe never said that.
The Rebbe say it's not halacha, it's Chabad. Sephardic and Ashkenaz.
In Sephardic, the hair should be still covered properly.
Of course.
Okay, so I thought you said something with the two. Okay, so I missed that. The hair should still be covered completely. The Rebbe was saying you cannot show anything, according to Sephardim either. The hair should be covered completely. But how the Rebbe was saying that when is the hair covered really properly? With the sheitel. So if you have some kind of conflict between Sephardim and Chabad, call up your Rav and ask him. Anytime you have a woman has a questions and conflicts and things, this is the answer. Call up your own Rav and ask your Rav. Yeah.
When the husband and wife work together, but not when they're actually together. Is the woman allowed to uncover her hair then? I was always taught not, but I'm hearing other people.
So what I learned is that a woman should try to keep her hair covered. After this, I don't know.
I heard also that
Interpretation.
for one couple, it's your shemaim for the wife to show her hair because that's what it arouses her husband. And for another couple, it's your shemaim not to really.
It's a very good point. So what I said in the summary, remember, I love this story about Sarah Carmeli. She has a book, and she's telling in her book how she was 10 steps ahead of her husband. She wanted to put a sheitel on, and her husband wasn't there. And he refused to see his wife covered with a sheitel. She went to Yehudis, to the Rebbe, and she was sure that the Rebbe, she went to Yehudis and she was going to ask the Rebbe, she bought a sheitel. It was her daughter's wedding. Rebbe, what should I do? I want to wear a sheitel, but my husband refuses. And do you know what the Rebbe told her? To talk to her husband, not to put on a sheitel. So every time it seems like halacha, she was wearing hats then, but she wanted a sheitel. Every time there is a conflict between a husband and a wife over certain halachas, over certain things, we need to call up a Rav. Yes, because there are sometimes certain things we see how, this story to me was mind-blowing to see how the Rebbe told her, I was sure here, the Rebbe is going to tell her, put on a sheitel. But the Rebbe didn't say that. So every time there is a conflict, call up your Rav, because Shalom Bayis, Oleh ala kol is top priority. Even questions regarding of intimacy, even questions about things that you're allowed to do, or you think this is halacha and I'm not allowed to do it, call up your Rav. Your husband doesn't want to do certain things, if it brings any conflicts, call up the Rav. And daven that your husband will want to do what you want to do, which is the right thing, and add in kedusha and tahara. Any other questions? All right, so, yes.
But you have to be like the shower. You have to be sober.
You did it already at home? Yeah, I think you can just rinse it. Yes, so just, no, because you did it already in the bath. So it's just a rinsing the bath and everything. Yeah. Any other questions? We'll end with this. Have a good night. It was a pleasure and honor to be here and get to know you.